And we are live. Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us all this while. It's been bumper to bumper with knowledge and wisdom flowing right here on the Train Up a Child community. Yes, from one glory to the other every year. We thank God for that. And today we have our speaker in the house. I hope you've gotten something, you've freshened up, you've had something to eat. Because for me, I had to like go rush something because we are going on for another 2 hours. All right, so I want you to just sit back, relax, because you're going to have so much to write, and so much to implement from this session. I can guarantee you that. So our next speaker, Mrs. Lotta Ohagwashi, and is an accomplished educator. She's an accomplished educator, notable achievement in the educational sector. She is a life coach, a thought leader, and an educator spanning 2 decades. 2 decades. That's over 20 years. Her competencies are in early childhood education, Montessori education, school setup management, public relations, and consulting and training. All right, I want you to welcome Miss Lotta Ohagwashi to Train Up a Child 2023. Thank you, Ma. Anytime we call, you come. It's a honor. Thank you so very,
very
much.
For having me.
For that time, she was booked, so she has a training now. It's such a sacrifice, and I really appreciate it, Ma. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
I want to say
it's yours.
Thank you so much. I want to say good evening for people in my side of the world. Good evening, and I'm greeting everybody. And I want to say it's my delight again to be in this year's Train Up a Child conference, an amazing conference. Sincerely, I really want to sit back and just be, one of the people participating and listening and learning as much as I can as a caregiver and also as a parent of young adults. I want to say kudos to our dear convener, Mrs. Z. Obi. Thanks so much for keeping the flag flying so high. And I also want to thank all the participants and all the speakers in this year's Train Up a Child Conference 2023. Wow. And there's no doubt in my heart that the seed that will be sown in our hearts, in our lives this few days, we are sure of a harvest of valuable parents emerging out of this conference. So I really want you to come with a teachable mind, with a mind that is ready to glean, to learn. And I believe in 10, 20 years to come, you'll be giving testimonies of what you have learned from this conference. Shortly, we'll be looking at a subtopic of this year's theme. We're looking at raising exceptional leaders, practical tips and tools for our parents. How do we raise exceptional leaders? As parents and caregivers, how do we raise exceptional leaders? And you see, God has given us parents tremendous responsibility of raising the next generation, not just the next generation of human beings, but next generation of leaders. When we are saying we're looking for good leaders, it will still come from us. It will come from our homes. It will come from our efforts. It will come from our labor. It will come from being intentional. So it is not always easy to be a parent of an upcoming leader or a future leader, but it's incredibly rewarding to witness your child evolve, keep evolving and transform into a respectable and inspirational, young adult who is a leader in his or her own rights. So for many of us in this call, we live in the part of the world where lack of good leadership has been a bane to our personal and national development. We know what we are going through right now. We know what we have been through in many years past. And we know now the importance of having good leaders. So it really behoves on us as parents to be more intentional, to be more conscientious, to be more deliberate in ensuring that the minimum we can contribute to nation building in our country is raising future-ready servant leaders. I want to say it again. The minimum every parent in this call should contribute to nation building, the minimum, is to see through those children you are raising right now, whether biological or by other means, are future-ready servant leaders. That's the minimum we can do for our nation. And the amazing thing about this noble assignment and role is that it starts from cradle. It starts from cradle at our individual homes. I like saying, I like referring that the home is the smallest nation on earth. I don't know if that is correct, but that's my own perception. Our homes is the smallest nation on earth. It's a nation of its own. So whatever we want there, we want to see happen there, determine it, and it will happen. So parenting, like any other assignment, should start with a big picture. What is your big picture? What do you have in mind? Why do you want to have children? Why do you want to have children? I don't think it's enough if you love to leave something for posterity. I don't think it's enough. Because you are married, you must have children. If you are not ready to raise exceptional children, please don't have children. It will be a liability to the world, and it will be sad that when we are long gone, we'll leave a liability to our world. I want to say again, why do you want to have children? When you look at the enormity of this responsibility, you can choose not to have children. And posterity may forgive you, but that will have a liability for the world. We're looking at raising exceptional leaders. What caliber of children or a child, because a child is enough, what caliber of a child or children do you want to raise? Sometimes people don't ask these questions. They go into child rearing. Child rearing is very easy to raising. To raise a child, it takes a lot from you. In the next 25 years of bringing up a child to the world, you are still on it. They say at 18, some of them are still writing JAMB. So you have a work in your hand in the next 25 years, especially if you're from this part of the world. So what type of child do you want to raise? Do you want to raise a servant, or do you want to raise a king? By that I mean, do you want to raise a leader? Do you want to raise follow, using my Nigerian English? Anywhere they throw the child, it goes. What kind of child do you want to raise? And I want to say, the kind of caliber of child you want to raise will determine your parenting style. It will determine the principles you're going to adopt raising your child. It will show in your practice. It will show in your practice. It will show your practice and eventually the outcome you are going to get in raising a child. Here are some of the tips that can aid your parenting journey. I have a few tips that can help us. As I said, I just want to quickly be done and sit back and listen to our speakers in this wonderful and amazing conference. One, I said, lead and show leadership by example. Lead and show leadership by example. You cannot expect what you are not giving. Lead and show leadership by example. Model leadership through your leadership values, through the kind of traits you produce. Children are human video recorders. They listen and watch everything you do. They take in everything we do. As parents, let's be intentional to role model everything we want to see in our children. Let's learn to adapt the characteristics we want to see our children replicate. As parents, are we replicating the traits of an exceptional leader? We have offices where we work. Do we show leadership? We have people living with us. Do we show leadership? We attend churches and mosques. Do we show leadership? Our children are watching us. So if you want to raise exceptional leader, that leadership starts from you. You must be exceptional in your leadership traits. Your children will absorb it as they watch you, as they listen to you. They naturally will absorb the leadership traits. What kind of leader are you? And let us know everybody is a leader in his own right. What kind of leader are you? And then what kind of leader do you want to raise in raising your children? That's my number one. You see, if we're not transformed, we're going to deform the children we're going to be raising. It is what we have in us that we're going to replicate the life of our children. This evening, when I look through, as a Christian leader, I look through the scripture, and I'm looking for a role model I would like to, mention in this discourse this evening. Is a family of Moses. The family of Moses. Jacob was the mother of Moses. The woman had 3 children, and there were 3 leaders, national leaders in Israel. The 3 children this woman had became the 3 national leaders. Somebody will ask, are they the only one? But you could see that upbringing made all the difference. The woman was a slave woman in Egypt, but the mentality by which he raised his children, especially Moses, who became the de facto national leader of Israel, that God used to bring them out of bondage of 430 years. There was a mindset she put in those children that made them to be different. And I begin to say that it's not about praying, wishing, desiring. Every parent has a job to do to raise exceptional leader. If you read the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, 23 to 27, you will see where, Bible said that the young man was distant, had a different mentality. Who imbibed that mentality in that young man? Was it like a gift from God? No. A mother did a good job. A mother told him that you are different, you are distant. He knew his identity. He never lost his identity. He let him know who he was. In fact, from the day that child was born, something told her that this child is different, and this child doesn't deserve to be killed. She risked her life to hide that child for 3 months. Before, by faith, she did what she did, and the rest is history. We have a job to do as mothers and parents in raising exceptional children. I don't want to say that there are particular children when you give birth to them, say this one will be a leader. And every child is a leader in his own right. It depends on how you raise the child to be exceptional. Secondly, I want to say that if you're going to raise exceptional leaders from a very early age, teach your children to make decision. Teach them to make decisions quite early. Every child came with a mind. Every child was born with a mind. Teach them to make decisions quite early. And we all know that great leaders make wise decisions. Decision making is a skill that takes practice. And let our children learn to make choices. Start early to allow them to make choices. We cannot think for our children. We are there to guide them. We are there to supervise them. We are there to remodel what they need to do. But from very early age, start allowing them to make decisions. It will go a long way in making them to be exceptional leaders. In everything they do in the house, you could start by let them choose their outfits. Okay, we're going here. Choose between these 2 or 3 or 4. Choose your outfits. Okay, we're going for so and so event. Choose the one we should attend, and give me reasons why we should attend it. Okay, we have vegetables we want to eat. Okay, let's choose this vegetable. Which one do you want to choose? And reasons. It looks like nothing, but it's something. Gradually, you are building it up. You can say, okay, which fruits do you want us to buy today for the weekend? Or which one do you want us to eat first? Let the children make choices. Encourage them to also seek advice of trusted adults. Making decisions does not mean you will not take decisions. Take advice from others. Teach them to take, advice, seek advice from trusted adults when there's issues. It's very, very important. Of course, for somebody to have good judgment, you need, to be in the safety of counsel, in the midst of counsel. So children should be able to, ask questions. Let them be free to be able to ask questions. What do I do? So that he can make up his mind what he wants to do. Children should be able to have liberty to walk out to us and ask us questions. Very, very important. So we can't afford to think for our children. Otherwise, it's going to be a disservice. I also want to say, assign them age-appropriate chores quite early. No matter how small a child should be part of the well-being of the home. Research suggests that there are benefits to including chores in a child's daily routine as early as 3 years. And it is said that children who will rule the world should start by making their bed. I heard it somewhere. Children that will rule their world. If you want to rule your world, start by making your bed. So if a child is going to rule the world, is going to be a leader, start being self-led. Start taking care of yourself and your environment. Very, very important. So in no small measure, this will help their self-esteem. If a child does something and does it well, it will boost his self-esteem. Of course, it will also help a child to be self-led. You don't wait for your parents for everything. And that's one thing we do with our children very early in life, in our early years. Children are taught to be independent. They are taught to take care of themselves. They're taught to say, thank you, I can do it for myself. It's not arrogance, but you are preparing the child for life. And that's part of leadership. And then you are preparing them to be responsible. A child that can take care of himself is a responsible child. And I tell you, if a child can take care of himself, he can take care of others. And that is where it starts. And then they are better equipped to, deal with adversity and, and delay gratification. A child that can do some work will learn to deal with adversity in future. It doesn't give up because there's something is not working. So that is where it starts. Then I also want to say, encourage them to start something. Start something. Start something. No matter how small it is. Children can be encouraged to start something from the scratch. Part of childhood is curiosity. Children should be encouraged to start something. No matter how small, they can come up with initiatives And sometimes people think it's when you are now a teenager or when you are young adult, you can start something. They can start from young age, no matter how small. That is when sense of responsibility begin to seep in gradually in the child's life. You could see a child who is good in a particular thing. You can encourage the child. Start something with your friends. You can have a club. It can be a Bible club. It can be a book club. You have books. Let's call our friends. Let's read different chapters and let everybody share what he has learned. You can even encourage a child to raise funds. There may be an initiative somewhere, and you can say you can raise the funds among your uncles, among people in your community. That is where it starts. That is where exceptional leadership starts. And a child starts showing that kind of flashes of responsibility. It will go a long way in raising an exceptional child. So let's teach our children, these things are the things that will sharpen their innovativeness and their creativity, and also help them to have initiatives when the time comes. Then again, very, very importantly, is sharpening their communication skills. Sharpening their communication skills. Start with having normal conversation with your child. I tell parents, don't talk to a child like a child. Talk to a child like an individual. Have normal conversation with your child. Have normal conversation, no matter the age. It does not matter. A child is learning from what you are saying. Have normal conversation with your child. And learn to seek the opinion of your child in family discussion. You are treating the child like an individual. That is where leadership starts. So a child can be consulted. What do you think about this going on in the family? Treat him or her like an individual, and he will behave like an individual. So let's learn, to seek opinion of our children. Give them platforms to make compelling presentations. Give them platforms. From very early age, let them have platforms to make compelling presentations. We're in the days of social media. They can do things, they see themselves, and they're impressed with what they have done. And gradually they begin to grow in it. Ask them who they admire as a leader. Let the children know about leadership. Let them know different leaders, world leaders, global leaders, captains of industry, leaders in the nation, and ask them in different spheres of life. Let them know leaders and ask them, who do you admire as a leader? It goes a long way to tell you about that child. Also, let them to have listening skills. Children should learn to listen when people are talking. Teach them, role model it, and also make time to train them on that. They should listen. Don't only talk, but also listen when people are talking. That's a hallmark of a good leader. And I also want to say to our parents, end your day talking with your children. End your day, among other routine you may have for the evening, for the last thing in the day, end your day talking with your children. I tell you, it will go a long way in raising exceptional leadership in your children. And I want to say I'm a product of that kind of practice. Maybe my late father never knew that what he was doing was to prepare me for life. Every evening, and whenever I come back from school, he must ask me, what do you think about what is happening in the world? What do you think about what is happening in Nigeria? Because I know he's going to ask me such questions, I'm always up to date. I want to read, I want to listen to the news. I know that this man will not allow me to be. Unknown to me, this man was gradually preparing me for the leadership stage. And I want to tell you something. There's no way I enter, I cannot make my presence felt. I'm not intimidated, but that is how he has raised me. Made me to see things, I can make my presence felt, I can make my contribution, no matter how you feel about me. That was upbringing. So these things go a long way. It was when I was just thinking about it, I said, this man actually helped me. He may not know the value of what he was doing, but he was just doing it. And I want to thank God for the impact in my life. I also want to say that we should allow our children to delegate. Yes, you can delegate to your children. You can also teach them to delegate. You can give them a whole assignment. They can have the opportunity to delegate also to their younger ones or to their siblings is also part of preparing children for leadership. Before, and you also will help you to know how children think. If you see a child that is delegating the lion's share of the work to somebody else, you have to call the child to order. You could see he has a mentality that needs to be corrected. So you see somebody, you give him something to do or something to share, and you see the way he's doing it, it will tell you, it will inform you what is going on in the child's mind. So as we supervise them, we begin to correct them, and then it's important for them to know that delegation is not abdication. When you're given an assignment, you don't abdicate by giving it to your people under you. And that is where it starts. So when that child goes to work tomorrow, you will know that I've learned delegation from home. You can learn to also work with people without abdicating responsibility. You will learn how to do his own part and also use part of the work to prepare others and work with others. Very, very important. Also, I want to say that let them solve their own problems. Some of these things, we don't talk about it. Children is like they are small, everything should be done for them. A child that you have done everything for will be deformed. It's like a child using clutches. You have become the clutches of your children. You do everything for that child. The child will totally depend on you, just like when somebody depends on his clutches to work. That is not the role of a parent. The role of a parent is to prepare children for life. So let them solve their own problems. And one of the best ways to help a child to manage their life is to teach them to solve problems, for them to develop problem-solving skills. And then invest time with your child. Find solutions. Ask them questions. Okay, this problem, what do you think should be the solution? Let them research for themselves. Let them think. Give them time to think. Come up with solutions. You can come up with so many solutions, then you can choose the best. Let them learn to solve their own problem. If we don't allow them to solve their problem at 40, we may be solving their problem for them. Or they'll be looking for who will solve their problem at 40. We won't raise dysfunctional children. So let's learn to, from very early age, teach our children to take care of themselves. Even when they have conflicts among their siblings, let them come up with solutions. Let them come up with conflict resolution. How do we resolve this matter so it doesn't happen next time? We're not micromanaging them, but we encourage them to come up with solutions to solve the problem. If you're going to be a problem solver tomorrow, you have to start by solving your own problems. We have a lot of politicians who have never done anything in their life, and they want to start by being in politics. How is it going to work? They've never managed anything. They've never managed their own life. They didn't even go to school. They have never learned a skill. And then straight away, somebody has sponsored them and they're in politics. What magic would happen overnight? That the person will now change and begin to solve problems. It's not possible. So if you raise a child not to solve problems, you solve all his problems. You have not helped the child. It's a terrible disservice to do everything for a child. Let's learn to ask them likely questions to their problems. Okay, for instance, you always forget your homework at home. What do you think we should do after doing your homework? Let them come up with solutions. Let's stop thinking totally for our children. The children are born with thinking faculty. Let's allow them to make use of it. And I want to say that it will help them to be independent and then think for themselves in time to come. So I want to also say that it will cure us from being overprotective. When our children think for themselves, we will not be overprotective. And they will not micromanage them. They will learn to take care of themselves. They will learn to solve their own problems. And when they become young adults, we don't be looking through their shoulders, looking at what they're doing. We'll be rest assured that they will know what to do because you have seen them do it over and over again in front of you. You can release them to go and face the world because you have prepared them for life. And that is where it starts, from cradle. And I want to say, very important again, for us to raise exceptional leaders, we should prepare our children to serve. When I talked about raising slaves, I don't mean that our children should not serve. Our children should have their own mind. Our children should make their own choices. That's the difference between a slave and a king. Determine what he wants to do and choose the course he wants to follow. So we're looking at raising children that will serve. Raising children who will serve. Provide your child a platform to serve others. From very early age, service is noble. Service is part and parcel of greatness. It's a hallmark of greatness, and it's a hallmark of great leaders. Prepare your children to serve others, from serving their siblings, serving you at home, teaching children how to serve others, serving guests. You can teach them how to carry a tray nicely and go and serve. You could prepare something and say, let's go and serve daddy. You carry it and you follow behind and watch them carry it from very early age. And gradually, they become proficient in doing it. Teach your children to serve. Serve guests, and then from there, you can move to community. You can start serving community. Some of these scholarship programs abroad, they will ask you the volunteer programs you have done before. If a person have not done volunteer anything, it may have done well academically. You may not get a scholarship. Teach our children to start serving, serve community. Make a difference. Solve a problem. See something that is not working well. You can team up with friends and do something about it. Service is king. Service is king. Let's teach our children to serve. And let me tell you, you will have rest of mind when you raise children that serve. And if you raise them to serve, they will also serve you. But if you serve them, you will keep serving them. All your life, you will keep serving the children. So let's teach our children to serve. I don't think it's punishment. And let them learn to know the difference between we and me in service. Let them learn to appreciate we and not me always. It's also part of service. When you serve, you are serving others. And also in serving others, you serve yourself. Let them learn to think we. And I want to say that being a great parent, a selfless parent, is enough example to a child what it means to serve. For being a parent, you are serving the children. So they will watch you and see the way you have supported them and to learn to support others. They should learn from you. Let them know a person who is selfless, helps and encourages others, that will follow them naturally. When you serve people, people will follow you naturally as a leader. I also want to say, give your child a faith in God. Give your child a faith in God and a moral foundation that can guide his or her life. It pays us nothing, especially in this generation, where emphasis on robotics, on coding, on AI, in all those, whatever. Wonderful skills. But I want to say to us, it pays us nothing to produce gifted, skillful children who are morally bankrupt. They have all the skills, but in their everyday behavior, they are like mini monsters. In the office, they cannot cope with anybody. They cannot relate with anybody. They cannot fear anybody. They cannot respect any authority. It's going to be a disservice to their world to raise such children. God talked about Abraham in the book of Genesis. He said, I know Abraham. He's going to command his household. Right. Command them with what? With the word of God, with values, with the right thing to do, with industry. God was giving a testimony of a father. And at that given time, he has no biological child. It amazed me. So as parents, no matter the skills our children are acquiring, establish a regular routine on your faith. If you're a Christian, on the word of God. Let the word of God not be far from their mouths. Let the word of God replace all those rotten things they say and slogans they use in this generation. Teach them to study. I've listened to Z some time ago. She said, make your children your prayer partner. And I said, I agree with you. Let's learn, let these children, anything a 6-year-old does not know, then it's not worth teaching anybody. Anything a 6-year-old does not know, cannot teach, it's not worth teaching anybody. If they can understand those complicated cartoons and they will smile and laugh and fall on the ground, they can understand anything. So as parents, if you're going to raise exceptional leaders, you must raise people that the word of God, the fear of God has been planted in their hearts. Proverbs says the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. Then how do you raise children who are going to make a difference in their world without wisdom? So we need wisdom. We need to have a routine, consistent routine, deliberate, conscientious, which other English should I use? In preparing our children. If we prepare for Cambridge, if we prepare for SATs, we prepare for Oxford, why can we not prepare our children for life? And why can we not prepare our children to make a difference in their world and ultimately prepare them for eternity? So let's establish a routine, a working routine. You know what goes on around you. Let's not start what we cannot finish. We know what works for you with your peculiarity. Please have a routine that your children are absorbing the word of God, have time for prayers and the moral lessons. In the olden days, we have time for Tales by Moonlight. Children sit down and our elderly ones teach us. All those stories, some of them are fables, but they are life lessons. We have learned about life from them. And some of those have been a guiding principle for some of our fathers and our parents who have done well. So why not we move on with that baton, hand over that baton to our children? We will not lose the battle of raising exceptional children in our generation for any excuse. There's no excuse good enough that will make us not to raise exceptional children. There's no excuse good enough you can give anywhere. So it's up to us. If God has given you that child, He's giving you the strength, He's giving you the wisdom, and He's giving you all it takes to raise that child. And I want to be concluding by saying that there is a leadership potential in every child. Everyone has a potential to be a leader. It depends on what. And then bringing out that potential in your child has to include learning how to live. Prepare our children to live. Prepare them not just for them to make a living, but how to live. Do you know that what most of us are doing today, we are preparing children to make a living? Is reading engineering, reading accountancy, is reading law. You are preparing them to make a living, but not to live. It's two different things. Making a living is different from to live. And to live well, and to leave a posterity, and to leave legacy, and to make a difference in their generation. It takes more than making a living. That's raising a selfish child who will be mindful of his own. As you are doing that, be also preparing that child for life. And I want to tell you, if you have not prepared a child for life, you are not doing a good job. You cannot, with your full chest, say that I've raised a child. You can't go to your bed and sleep well if you have not done a good job in that. So it includes the morals, the physical, and the spiritual, integrity, honesty, trustworthiness, faithfulness. They are all parts of what counts in life. Never, never forget that. I want to stop now and take questions, and I can round up.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ma. So much. Every line, everything you said is a point. Everything you said is a point. Thank you so much for this. You know, Ms. Lotta has said so much, and we need to take heed. Honestly, we need to take heed. If you have questions, please drop your questions now. We need to take heed. So much has been said. Allow your children to volunteer. There's one that hit me so hard, and is the one that you say, are you raising your children to earn a living, or you're raising them to live, you know, to have a live, to live, you know? What kind of child are you raising? Are you raising a child that would leave a legacy, you know, on the earth, or you're just raising a selfish child? Another beautiful one that hit me strongly is also a child you do everything for. A child you do everything for, you know, you have turned that child to, you are making that child deformed. That child becomes deformed. A child you do everything for. So you just have like a clutch to that child. And it's sad, you know, that we don't notice what we are doing. You want to do everything for your child, you can't. Because I always tell my children, we are raising you for even when you are not with us. And sometimes they don't like to hear that, because it's always something like, oh, is she trying to say she would die or something beyond that? So that's the truth. You have to raise them. I tell them, I say, see, the truth is that you're going to live longer than me. So just know that. So you need to raise your children, you know, in a way that they can live outside you and stand strong. And that's what I was telling them, which other day we're doing Bible study. Say, we are putting this thing in you so that you need to know the Holy Ghost for yourself. You need to encounter Jesus for yourself. And that's all what we are doing. Because I'm working on a Bible study manual, you know, which I use with my children. You know, how powerful the encounter that was coming out for them, you know, and, you know, they were using their mouths to tell me these things. And I was like, that is the essence of it. And I was even telling them about, oh no, they told me that they really wish other families can share in this.
Wow.
You need to. You need to help your children have their own. They should be able to stand. You know, it's beautiful when your child is trying to stand and you are by the corner looking. It's not when you are no more there. You can't even watch them. You know, your child is trying to stand and move, and you are at the corner looking and watching so that he will not get into harm, but you allow him to actually do it by himself. But many of us don't understand. When our children are away, they will enter into more danger because we've not even stayed beside them and sit there and watch them try to do these things themselves. Please, please, this is so powerful. I'm going to listen to it again. So powerful, so many nuggets, so many things there that we need to hear again and again and again and again. Hear and again and again. Because if there's anything that we really need in our country, in our nation, in our continent, it's leadership. Leadership, that's what we need. Leadership. Another leadership, like Ms. Lotta said, it doesn't have to just do with the leaders at the top. It starts with you. How do you lead yourself? How do you lead your home? Because it's very easy for us to throw stones at leadership of the leadership of the nation. But guess what? That same disease or canker worm that is destroying the nation, guess what? If you check closely, you will find out that you have it. Because you grew up in that setting, except you have done good work on yourself. So let us be careful, please. I'm so passionate about leadership, raising leaders. It's so important. If not, we don't have a future. We don't have a future. Thank you, Ma, once again. God bless you. God bless you. Do you have any final words?
Well, I would like to say, just like you said, if you don't lead yourself, you cannot lead anybody. So the first form of leadership is self-led, being self-led. And it starts from the parents. Parents should be self-led. Let's keep getting transformed as a parent. Let's keep learning. my children are almost becoming young adults. I'm still learning about parenting. I still want to work with them in the journey of parenting, even as young adults. Even when they're going to marry, what role should I play as a parent? I don't want anything to be done haphazardly. Let's learn. Just like we're saying, our country is bleeding, our country is crying. It's calling on parents. Parents, raise your children well. The leaders we have today that are not leading us well, we are products of some parents. So are we going to also fail our generation? The baton has been passed to us. How are we going to pass it to the next generation? Posterity is depending on us. The posterity is looking up to us to raise the next generation of leaders differently from the type we are seeing. Everywhere in the world, leadership is a big issue. Even in the first world, leadership is a very big issue everywhere in the world. Yes, it requires skill, but I'm telling you, the first skill for leadership is home training. If a child passes through his full classes in parenting, he will make a good leadership. He will make it in leadership. If a child passes through the classes, I'm just calling it classes, in parenting, I'm telling you, he will go out and represent well. I'm telling you the truth. If you do a good job of parenting, your children will represent well. If he goes in government, he will remember the mother's values. He will remember the father's values. I know that he is representing not only the nation, but the home where he came from. He will do a good job. So parents, let's not, just like I said, don't just live to make a living, but leave a mark. Leave a mark. And I also want to say that childhood is not just a phase where we test run adulthood, but is a phase where we prepare children for life. Let's do a good job. And posterity will celebrate us. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you, Ma. God bless you. So everyone, we are continuing with Mrs. Charity Ibabuchi. After now, that's from 8 to 9, she'll be talking to us about how to deal or how to confidently raise a child with additional needs. Okay, please don't miss it. It's going to be loaded. This is a woman who has a school, an inclusive school, and she's raising 2 children with additional needs. So you want to call somebody in, you want to tell somebody that is happening here. If they need that information, please get them in to watch. Okay, so see you soon at 8 o'clock. Bye. Thank you again, Mom.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.